Hello and welcome to this beginner yoga flow video. It's perfect if you're a beginner or you're returning back from yoga after a bit of a short break, or if you just simply want a nice, easy, short yoga flow. So you're going to need some blocks for this practice. If you don't have blocks, you can use hardcover books. And you're also going to need a bolster. And if you don't have a bolster, you can use a thick rolled up blanket or a cushion off of your sofa. So our first pose that we're going to come into is child's pose, and we're going to use the block for this underneath our head. So coming over onto our hands and knees, we're going to gently sit our bottoms back towards our heels. And if you have a little bit of a tummy like I do and it feels uncomfortable, you can come up a little bit higher on the bottom. That's fine, making space, or you can bring the knees a little bit wider. We're going to take our block, adjust the block as you need, and we're going to place our forehead on the block, extending our arms out in front of us. And we're going to begin with our breath work here. So we're going to breathe in through the nose and then just let out a gentle sigh through the mouth. Starting to equalize that breath, so breathing in through the nose again. Exhaling through the mouth. Just coming to our ocean breath, settling our mind, focusing in on our practice. And just allowing the breath to create some space in the body. We're just going to remove the brick, place it to the side. And we're just going to walk our hands over to the left side of our mat. Going to be extending through the right side of the body, lengthening the ribs and the intercostal muscles. Just staying with that breath. And then walking our hands back to center for a breath here. Before we walk our hands over to the right side of the mat, staying in our child's pose, breathing in, staying with that breath. And then just slowly beginning to walk those hands back to the center of your mat and gently pressing yourself up, back onto your hands and knees into tabletop. Walking those hands forward so the wrists are roughly under the shoulders, or they can be slightly forward. Depends on how your wrists feel. And knees should be about hip distance apart. So that's about 2 fists. We're going to come into tabletop here, breathing in. And then as we exhale, we're going to sit back into our child's pose. So using our breath to connect to our movement now. We're going to inhale, coming back to tabletop, squeezing that belly button in. Lift the chin if you wish. Exhaling, sitting back into child's pose. Inhaling, lifting back into table. Exhaling, sitting back. Just stick with that ocean breath. Inhaling through the nose, lifting up. Exhaling through the mouth, sitting back. Breathing in, lifting into tabletop. Exhaling, sitting back into child's pose. Inhaling back into tabletop. Lifting the chin up. And then this time we're going to round the back into cat pose. So tucking the tailbone under, chin to chest, arching through that back. As we inhale, lifting that chin, dropping the back down. Exhaling, tucking that tailbone under, chin to chest, into cat. Inhaling into cow. Exhaling into cat. Breathing into cow. Exhaling into cat. Again, inhaling into cow. Exhaling into cat. Maybe letting the head shake side to side here in our final cat pose. Just loosening up through the back a little bit more. And then we're going to come back to sit back on our heels, tuck the toes, and we're slowly going to make our way to dangling. So your head's not going to come all the way up. Take your time, slowly unfurling through the spine, rolling only part way up. Keep those knees bent. Let the chest rest on the thighs, especially if the hamstrings are feeling really tight. Add that extra bend in. So you have an option here to keep the hands on the floor if you want. You can take your hands, grab the elbows, tucking that chin in, giving yourself a sway side to side. Or for extra, you can take your hands, clasp them, place them at the base of the skull, and just adding a little bit of an extra stretch through the back. So through the back of the legs, through the back of the shoulders, along the neck. And just resting here, coming back to that breath. Inhaling through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. It's just resting here. You choose which pose feels best for you. And then just releasing, we're slowly going to unfurl ourselves all the way up, vertebrae by vertebrae. Maybe giving yourself to the count of 10 to come to standing. Let the head be the last thing to come up. As you make your way to the top. So just coming to the top of your mat, we're going to come into mountain pose to begin with. So just bringing our feet hip distance apart. Hands can be at the waist. Squeeze that belly button in. Engage the glutes. Inhale, roll the shoulders back. Let the fingertips radiate to the floor. Feel your feet grounding into the ground. Breathing in, feeling that connection into the earth. Using that breath. Inhaling, lifting those arms all the way up. And we're going to exhale. Forward fold, bending at the waist, coming all the way down to the floor. Again, bending those knees if your hands can't reach. Inhale, halfway lift. I like to place my hands on my shins, nice flat back. Exhaling, releasing the hands to the floor. Inhaling, reaching all the way back up. Exhaling those hands to heart center. I'm going to turn to the side now, and I'm going to use some blocks to show you if you can't quite reach the floor, how you can do these half sun salutations. And again, bending those knees in the forward folds. So starting with our hands at heart center, squeezing that belly button in, engaging those glutes and the quads. Inhaling, reaching all the way up. Exhaling, forward fold. I'm going to bring my hands down onto the blocks. Maybe bend my knees. Gonna inhale, halfway lift. Nice flat back. My hands are coming to my shins. Exhaling, forward fold. And then as I inhale, sweeping my arms wide, reaching all the way up. Exhaling those hands to heart center. Let's go again. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, hinging at the waist, forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhaling, forward fold again. Inhale, sweeping the arms up and wide. Exhaling, hands to heart center. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, sweeping arms wide and up. Exhaling, hands to heart center. One more round, and we're face forward. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, forward fold into our Uttanasana. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep the arms wide and all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart center. And then release the hands back down, letting those fingertips radiate towards the ground, grounding through the feet again, pressing those toes in, squeezing the belly button in, squeezing the glutes. Just feel that energy radiating through you. Just feeling safe and grounded here, connected to the earth. So we're going to come to a couple standing postures. So I'm going to take my bricks and I'm going to place one on either end of my mat, just so that they're there for my support. We are going to come to the top of the mat, whichever way works for you. And from here, we're going to come into warrior one. So I'm going to lift my right leg up and I'm going to step my right leg back. I'm going to bend my left leg. So I should have a bend in my left knee. I'm pressing into my right foot. My right foot, the toes are pointing to 3 o'clock on my mat, and only because that works. So imagine your mat is a clock. My left heel's in line with the arch of my right foot. For some people that doesn't work. So if you want to bring your feet wider, you can line the heels up instead. So you can line the heel of the right foot with the heel of the left foot. We're going to turn, take our hands on our waist, turning, facing the front. So facing that left leg. So turning, facing the front, and sinking into that left knee, bending it. Good. And right away, as I turn, I should feel a stretch along my hip flexor in that right top of the thigh there. So that means I'm in the right pose. I'm pressing into the back of my foot and pressing into my front foot as well. Really strong legs, squeezing the front thigh so my knees don't wobble. I'm going to inhale, reach those hands all the way up into my warrior one, Virabhadrasana 1. Nice, strong pose, holding it here for a few breaths. Breathing in, coming back to that ocean breath. This time I'm just going to extend my hands wide. I'm going to come into warrior two. So I'm lengthening through the arms, making sure my arms are in line with my shoulders. So front arm is shoulder height, and I'm going to look at my back arm and ensure that is shoulder height as well. And I'm reaching through those fingertips, extending through them. Nice and strong. My legs don't change. And my torso is facing now about 2 o'clock on my mat. It's about 45-degree angle, and that's absolutely normal. Breathing in here. So we're going to come into reverse warrior, Viparita, Virabhadrasana. I'm going to turn my left palm up, reach my right hand onto my thigh, reach forward, then lift that left palm up, lifting my chest, sinking into my left knee, and turning my torso that is facing the top of the room, the ceiling. So it's a slight back bend here. Holding here, strong pose. Coming back into warrior two. We're going to come into extended side angle. So taking my left arm, placing it onto my thigh, I'm going to sweep my right arm down, around, reaching forward, about eye level, and then I'm going to rotate my ribs and my armpit up to the ceiling. Nice long line from the fingertips down to the hips. And if I want, I could place my bottom hand on the brick to support myself a little bit more. Just getting into that pose. And then just using my core, lifting myself back into warrior two. And all we're going to do is pivot to the other leg. So now my right leg is going to be forward, left leg at the back. And again, just lining up my heel, either heels or heel and arch, bending into that right knee, pressing into my feet. So you want to make sure your knee doesn't overshoot that front ankle. Turn that torso to the front, lifting those hands up. Breathing here, tall and strong in warrior one. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, release the shoulders away from the ears. nice and strong, like a warrior, extending the arms into our warrior two. So again, just making sure our arms are level with our shoulders, fingertips engaged and stretched out. Bending into that right knee without overshooting it. So it's better to have the knee a little further back than too far forward. So you might want to step the left leg back a bit. And again, this time my torso will be facing about 11 o'clock on my mat. So breathing in, nice and strong. So reaching forward with the hand, turn that right palm up, reach it up for the sky, left hand coming down the leg, sinking into that right leg a little bit more, into our reverse warrior. Turning that torso up. And then coming back into warrior two. Before we place that right arm onto the thigh or onto the brick, sweeping that left hand forward to the eye line, rotating through the ribs up to the sky into our extended side angle. Nice long line from the fingertips along the side of the body. And once more, using that core, lifting the torso up. And we're just going to come to standing. We're going to come to a standing balance here. So balance comes from the core. You can use a chair or any prop here if you're feeling a bit unstable. You can use your chair to hold on to or the wall. And we're going to come into tree pose. So beginning with our feet hip distance apart, squeeze that belly button in. So your balance comes from your core and your belly, and in this section called the Manipura. That's our section for willpower, strength, and it's also our core, and that's where the balance comes from. So squeeze that belly button in. Squeezing our glutes in. And engaging the thighs as well. So right away, when you squeeze that core, you should be able to feel the glutes engage as well. And just grounding down through the feet, starting with your hands maybe at the waist, or you can hold on to your prop, your chair, or your wall. We're going to take the left foot, the left heel, and just place it on our calf. If you are new to yoga, just stay here, focusing on turning that left knee out and opening it up, keeping the toes on the floor. If you're returning to yoga, you can bring your foot up onto the calf. And again, just focusing on opening up through that hip, working on your balance. So if you're feeling comfortable here, you can bring the hands to heart center. Just see what works for you. Holding on here, grounding down through the feet, feeling that strength in the ankles and the feet, squeezing in that belly button, and finding something to focus on. Releasing our hands down, release that left leg down, maybe shake it out a bit. We're going to repeat that on the other side. So again, if you want to hold on to a prop, you can. So bringing feet hip distance apart, hands to waist or hands to your prop. And we're going to again lift that right heel either onto the calf if you're new to yoga, or you can lift that right foot into the calf but below the kneecap. Holding on, squeeze that belly button in, find something to focus on, your drishti. This will help you balance. And if you're feeling comfortable, you can bring the hands together at heart center once again. Holding here, coming to that breath, letting the mind settle. Releasing down. And we're going to make our way down to the mat. You might want to sit on a cushion for the next little bit. So coming down, especially if you've got any lower back niggles, you'll want to sit on a cushion. So we're just going to come to Sukhasana, and all that is crossing the ankles and bringing the feet underneath the knees, flexing the feet if that feels comfortable. Nice and tall through the spine. As we breathe in, lifting those hands up overhead, interlacing the fingers, pressing the palms up, breathing in tall through the spine, exhaling to the left. Inhaling up, exhaling to the right. Inhaling tall, and again, exhaling. Inhaling tall, exhale. Inhaling tall, again, exhaling to the left. Inhale, exhale right. Inhale tall, releasing the hands down. So just setting ourselves up for our next pose. We're going to need our bolster, or if you want to use the cushion off your sofa. I'm just going to take my cushion and move it to the side and set myself up to the side so you can see what I'm doing here. So sitting up on a cushion, especially if you have any lower back wiggles and niggles, it just helps prop your pelvis, helps your pelvis tilt forward, helps your hips get into the right pose. Bringing the soles of my feet together. And if it feels really tight, I can place the blocks underneath my knees just to elevate them, just to support the hips a little bit more. So if you're quite loose through the hips, you might not need the block. So just play around with it, see how it feels. I'm going to take my bolster, set it up in front of me, and I'm going to lean forward over the feet, keeping tall through the spine, leaning forward over the feet, resting my head on my bolster. Just feeling that lovely stretch through the hips, through the groin. If you're quite loose through the hips and groin, you might find that using the bolster is too much, and you can come a little bit lower by just using the blocks and leaning forward. So just play around with it and see what feels good for you. Set up your props. And then when you're ready, just walk yourself forward. You may want to stay upright if that's enough for you as well, and that's perfectly fine. Just every time trying something different if you need to. So leaning forward if you need to, and then resting your head as far as it'll come, as far as your body will allow, coming back to that breath, inhaling through the nose, sighing it out through the mouth. Just relaxing into the pose. So just beginning to walk those hands back in towards the body, pressing yourself back up to seated, and just moving your blocks over to the side, coming to our final pose, which is Savasana. So for this, we're going to use our bolster. If you have any lower neck or shoulder issues, you can rest your head on a cushion or a block. Taking our bolster, we're going to place it underneath our knees. So sitting back, extending those legs, bringing the bolster underneath the knees, and then just reclining ourselves back to what feels comfortable. Maybe bringing the feet a little bit wider on your mat. And just have a play around with what feels comfortable. Bringing those palms facing up to get a little bit more energy. Tucking the chin into chest ever so slightly, just so the throat's not so exposed. Taking a nice deep breath in. Letting out a big sigh. Just finding that space within the body. Feeling the energy of your practice here. And then as you begin to rest, maybe you might want to close your eyes. And then just coming into complete stillness and relaxation for our corpse pose. May you accept yourself just as you are. May you be free. May you be loving. May you be peaceful. And then again, just beginning to relax into this most important pose of our practice today. Just feeling the energy, letting your body take in the effects of our practice. Just beginning to wiggle your fingers and toes, bringing gentle movement back into the body, maybe taking a long stretch overhead, or if it feels nice, pulling the knees into your chest, giving them a hug and rocking side to side. And then just rolling over onto your side, staying there for a moment. Feel the energy of your practice. And then very slowly pressing those hands into the floor, Let your head be the last thing to come up as you slowly make your way back into a comfortable seated position. And when you're there, rubbing the palms together until you feel the heat and energy in them. And then taking those palms, cupping them in front of the face. If your eyes are still closed, blinking them open. And then just releasing the hands down to the floor. Take a nice deep breath in, reaching all the way up. Exhaling, hands to heart center. And again, inhaling loving kindness for ourselves. Exhaling compassion for others. Thank you for practicing with me. Namaste.